Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another. Hey, what are you doing here? What's that? Don't you even think of that?
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. In this video we're going to set up our lives variable and then go into our user interface and create it so that if you lose a life, one of your hearts disappears. So to do that, let's open up our user interface. So we go to your scenes and double click on user interface. Alright, first thing I want to do is I want to create a variable I can use across all of my scenes. So I'm going to an application level variable, and I'm going to create a variable called lives. This is just going to be an integer, and I'm going to set its value to 3. So now we're in our user interface. I'm going to go to my user interface in my scene, in my hierarchy, and I'm going to add a flow machine to it. Now I'm going to embed it, as I'm only going to use it in this scene. I'm going to use start for now, so I'm going to delete that, and I'm going to go to my update. So what we're trying to do is we're going to have these three game objects, and we want to change the sprite that's in it depending on the number of lives that we have. So first thing we're going to need is we're going to need a list of game objects. Alright, so we're going to create a list of game objects. Now we're going to hit the arrow, the plus, and we need 3 of them. So what game objects are we using? Well, we're using heart 1, 2, and 3. So if we just drag those down, we have heart 1, heart 2, and heart 3. Now what do we want to do with these? We want to set the sprite. So if we go add unit, and you go image set sprite, okay, now what sprite do we want to use? Well, that depends on our variable. So we're going to use a select. And if it's false, we're going to go to our sprite. And we're going to use a sprite literal. If it's false, if you click on the circle beside the sprite, we're going to set it to a UI mask, right? So it will just be an empty slot. If it is true, however, we're going to create a sprite literal again. Right, we want to set it to our heart icon. So you click the circle and your heart icon. So what's going to control this? Well, we're going to use a greater. Now what we're going to check, we're going to check whether our variable, so we're going to get lives, which is our application level, alright, and we're going to check whether more hearts are currently being displayed than we have lives. So what we need to do is we need to create a for each loop. Right, and our index will be our B variable. Right, our list will be our game of objects. We'll connect up our update. Right, the item will be our image. And then our body will connect up to our set image. Right, so if we press play now, we should end up with 3 hearts. Yeah, that's perfect. If we go to our variables and we change it to 2, right, now we've got 2 hearts. If you change it to 1, you should have 1 heart. If you set it to 0, right, you'll notice we got 0 hearts. Alright, that's exactly what we're looking for, so we're going to hit play again to stop that. We're going to save this, so file, save. And now we need to go back to our sample scene or our game scene. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go to our death macro, and we're going to set it so every time the death macro triggers, it reduces the number of lives by 1. So we open up our death macro. So we're going to break this branch here by right clicking on it, and for now we're just going to select the 3 of these and move them out of the way. So what we do want to do, well, we're going to go, if it's true, then we want to set our lives variable. Alright, now what do we want to set our lives variable to? Well, we want to read our current number of lives and subtract 1 from it. So we're going to add a unit and we're going to get lives. Alright, I'm going to drag off of our lives and we're going to subtract. We're going to use the math subtract, so the second one. And we're going to subtract 1, and then we're going to plug that into our set lives. Alright, so now if you jump off, it won't currently reset, but it will just remove 1 life. So what do we want to do then? Well, we want to check whether we have any lives left, so whether we have more than 1 life. And if we do, then we want to reload our scene. So to that we're going to get our lives again. We're going to use a branch. And what we want to do is we want to check whether our lives is greater. Alright, so whether our lives is greater than 0, and if that's true, then we will load our scene. So we can select these and bring them back up. Alright, so if we press play now, it should reset our player and decrease our number of lives. So if we fall off the edge, alright, decrease the number of lives and we lost a heart. Alright, decreased our number of lives, and we lost a heart again. Alright, and that time we just fell off because we ran out of lives. That's perfect.